Rice. Got a lot to talk about. Good morning and welcome to Today in LA. My name's Mike Amos. His name is Bill Rice Jr. His name is Forrest Lee. And we're coming to you live from our studios at Troy Cable, located on South Grundy Street in Troy, Alabama. And of course, if you're watching on Facebook across the country or watching on the Facebook across the world, it is Today in LA. That's Lower Alabama. Rice, good to see you, my friend. A little hit there.
Well, hey, Forrest. If we don't have anything to talk about this morning, we'll never have anything to talk about.
That's right, a lot. And ladies and gentlemen, to get it all started, there's a new Rice in town. There's going to be a new Rice in town. Tell us about it.
Bobby, my little brother, is going to move back to Troy with his family, and he is going to be in the management at the Troy Messenger. He's going to be kind of the publisher that oversees several Boone newspapers. So he's coming back to Troy, and his wife Molly, and they've got a 9th grade son Will and a beautiful 6th grade daughter Eleanor. So we're looking forward to them coming back.
That's great, and congratulations to Stacy Granning. She's, I think, going to be in the newspaper business over there, and she's been in Troy for a long time with Wright, her son Wright, and her other son Thomas, and
that's right.
And we hate to see her go.
I think they'll all be in Mississippi.
Yeah, that's right. That's her home state, I believe, and she's going to another big position in the same newspaper family. So we'll miss Stacy too.
Well, you and your brother grew up around the newspaper business, and I don't think he's any stranger to the newspaper business. Had the Troy Citizen for several years, and of course, Bobby was running the Tuscaloosa News, which was taking the place pretty much of the Birmingham News. Had quite a group.
Bobby had been with me at the Troy Citizen, and then he went to the Montgomery Advertiser, and then he went to several Gannett newspapers and advertising management positions.
Pick that up, if you will.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Mike, good morning to you. Mike Amos calling in from Poncho Beach, from Grayton Beach. I just wanted to throw that out this morning. Grayton Beach, Florida.
Well, enough about Bobby, but hey, Gus Malzahn, Mike Forrest, I am surprised. I don't think that's warranted. I didn't see it coming. What do y'all think?
Well, let me tell you this. I sit near now. I watched my location at the game. Fabulous game. I mean, one of the best I've been around. But a guy told me, a guy from Phoenix City said, hey, some things are going to happen. I said, well, Mississippi State, if they beat Mississippi State, they won't. He said, even if they beat Mississippi State. This guy knew something. He was from the Phoenix City area, and a good friend of mine, and I didn't think much of it until I got a phone call from this gentleman that's on the phone right now, sir, and tell us what you said.
Oh, he's having phone issues again.
Well, $21.7 million.
Boy, how in the world can any football program anywhere in the country afford to give a football coach $21 million to leave your program?
Well, it's like our lawyer buddy, Mr. Will, he said that they'll pay him a lump sum and then pay him so much per year.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, per month.
Let's go to it. I got to get it. Here go. Good morning, y'all. Today in L.A. How you doing?
Sorry, I cut off.
I got a call from Grayton Beach, Florida yesterday, just minding my own business, and told me that Auburn has fired their football coach and is going to have to pay him $21 million to leave. Man, if I was him, I'd leave with the biggest smile in the world on my face. Won't have to fool with these Auburn folks anymore, and I can go and...
If you watch the video, he had no clue, obviously, because he was dancing with his team in the locker room.
What, he really...
all over AL.com. He had his hat turned around backwards, and he was getting low. And
somebody didn't like him. I don't know who it was, but somebody didn't like him and didn't like him a lot. And if I'm an Auburn guy and they didn't talk to me about that, you know what I'm saying? You know, the Auburn,
Higher up the hierarchy.
the Auburn people, you know.
Yeah.
You would think they'd have a say-so on whether you want to pay somebody $21 million out of your program.
Let's say 22 is 21.7.
$21.7 million to leave your program when you went 6-4, probably will win your bowl game at 7-4, and you look at how well he's played against Saban. He's probably been more successful against Saban than anybody, and a nice guy. I've met him before, and he's a real nice guy. And I'm not being critical of the everyday Auburn guy, but you would think that more than one person would make that kind of decision.
What this tells me is this is not a season where you have a COVID pass. You're seeing a tremendous amount of firings throughout the country. So all these people that said, "Oh, we'll just give them a pass. It's a COVID season," you know, it tells you how big college football is. Anytime, it doesn't matter if a global pandemic's going on or not. You know, Malzahn made a comment after they lost to Texas A&M. If we go beat Mississippi State, we'll have a really good season at 6-4. And when Auburn fans heard that, I think that was the death knell. I think that's what happened.
Yeah, I think that statement did that went over like the lead balloon.
Sure did.
But it's a tough one, man. I tell you, he had some great teams, good teams, mediocre teams, and I would have thought he would have gotten the pass for COVID. He had his starting quarterback coming back. He's got a running back that can be a Heisman Trophy candidate.
And all of them get an extra year. That's another thing about it. This guy, this great running back, and I mean, hey, listen, he's going to be big time. He had 185 yards rushing against Mississippi State. What I'm saying, he got these guys coming back and not losing a year of.
They want to come back.
Well, I think he averaged 8-4. That was his average. You know, if you do.
Well, somebody told me
it was about
somebody
8-4
told me the last
coach.
30 games he was 15-15.
Okay,
That's hard to realize, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, and he almost lost 2 earlier this
Yeah,
year.
he
So
could
that'd
have been
showing
Somebody
up.
do the math on that.
Lovie
Somebody-
Smith at Illinois was fired, and so was Kevin Sumlin at Arizona.
They weren't near the coach this guy was. This guy, let me tell you, being an Alabama fan, you know, this guy sort of scared me a little bit. You know, getting players and, you know, coming up with some, how about, you know, the kickoff return and a lot of things like that he had in his arsenal, you know.
Who's going to fill those shoes?
36 and 38 all time as a head coach, not bad.
And what was his record at Auburn?
I'll have to check and see what his record at Auburn was, but he'll get another job.
Well, if he wants,
why would he want a job now? If he gets another job, he doesn't get all his pay, does he? How's that work?
It might just buy a few Waffle Houses.
Yeah, that's right.
He'll probably stay in Auburn where all the former coaches live.
Why don't they have a house in Colorado, a house in the Highlands in North Carolina, a house in Bermuda, and a house in wherever he wants it. And he can pay cash for it.
He could.
Dad, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but he could be my neighbor one day. He might be rich enough to live in Great Big.
Yeah, I think he'd be close.
Now listen,
to the water,
he's getting $22 million over the next couple of years. He's already earned about $20 million, so I'm sure he had some of that in the stock market.
And he can give to his favorite charity, which he's going to have to do tax-wise, you know, do something.
He was 68 and 35 at Auburn.
You know what's so terrible about that, you know?
You know, it seems like, you know, comes to mind is Bill Battle that they fired at Tennessee that had a very similar record and did pretty good.
Bill Battle probably just couldn't beat Alabama and Auburn. You know, he had some
averaging 8-4.
Yeah, he really did. But it shocked me, and I think it.
12 and 2, 8 and 5, 7 and 6, 8 and 5, 10 and 4, 8 and 5, 9 and 4, 6 and 4.
You know, somebody didn't like him. Somebody he said something to somebody, and they didn't like him. But the only person I think that could write a check on something like that would be Jimmy Raines. You know?
I know. That is.
And, or maybe
every college has got to be having huge financial difficulties now that are going to go on for a couple more months.
Well, what
you
Will
know-
had
do you know
mentioned,
this?
And they're going to be paying this out
If
for.
I'm an Auburn person, I'm raising hell. I'm raising hell at these people for spending $21,000 just to run a coach off.
Well-
Who wasn't that bad, you know?
well, what Will Matthews said, that they'll pay him a lump sum and then pay him X amount of dollars per
Installments,
month
yeah.
for so many years.
He'll never have to hit a lick at a snake the rest of his life, and
And
more power to him, you know.
They're going to be paying their assistants. Some of those assistants are
Sure.
under contract. I mean, still they'll probably have to pay off $1 million or so.
That's right.
It's
I
a lot of money.
I imagine whoever they hire will come keep Kevin Steele. Kevin Steele's a good defense coordinator.
They might.
Yeah, he is. He did a good job against Mississippi State, against
Mhm.
you know, Auburn. I mean, against
Well, you know, this just happened. You know, Butch Jones got a big buyout from Tennessee, and now he's got the Arkansas State job, which isn't a bad job.
he did get the Arkansas State job.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I think everybody, every analyst and every assistant on the Alabama staff could have a job if they wanted it. So-
Well, I tell you what, more
now,
power to
what's
him.
the deal with Arkansas State? They didn't fire their coach, did they?
No, he got a job.
Yeah.
No, he said the Utah State job.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
and there's problems at Utah State. The players, you know, they had an interim coach, and the president allegedly made some kind of remarks about the interim coach and his religion. The players have refused to play anymore
Oh,
this
I saw
year.
something about that.
They're not upset with the new coach. They're upset with the president for allegedly making some comments about the interim coach. So that kind of is in an uproar.
Of course, you know who the athletic director is, former Troy athletic director.
Now this is at Utah
Utah
State.
Utah State.
Utah
That's
State.
That's what I'm telling
Yeah.
you.
Who's
John Hartwell.
John Hartwell, who was here at Troy, his last job is the athletic director at Utah State.
Well, it's the president they're upset
Yeah, I
with.
know, but what I'm
Yeah,
saying,
okay.
though, he's got to be
Well,
right
he's in the middle.
involved.
Yeah, he's in
Right.
the middle of something. Yeah.
That they didn't play
Well, Mike,
this weekend.
tell us. I kept up on the internet with the Troy game. I mean, it was just. I said they're going to do it. They're going to do it. They're going to do it. And then at the last second,
Well,
Coastal Carolina
a good friend of
pulls it
mine
out.
who is very, very, very knowledgeable in football, coached for several years, outstanding coach. He says the worst thing you can do in a situation like that is to rush only 3 people. So that means we got 5 or 6 players blocking 3 players, and he's sitting back there, that quarterback sitting back there, throwing out
Short.
routes and whatever he needs to do because he's got time. He's not under any pressure to throw the ball accurately. He's got it. He's back there, and they just walk down the field like they owned it. I mean, like they owned it. But again, you defensive coordinator, shame on you. Shame on you. You don't rush 3. You rush 4 or 5 and put pressure on that quarterback. There's no timeouts left. Did y'all know that?
They had no timeouts, and also you got to realize time possession. They had the ball 37 minutes. Troy had it 23. It's just like Georgia Southern all over again. Defense had nothing left.
They had one drive that I think lasted 9 minutes, and it was in the second half. And you're right, Troy didn't have it. Troy, and bless his heart, the young man from Brantley came in. Of course, he threw the interception, but it was a well-thrown ball. But he just threw it up, for whoever can jump highest. And he returned it all the way to the 5-yard line. If he doesn't do that, boy, he controls the game with his great passing. I mean, he was throwing darts, Mike.
What happened? What happened to Gunner? Did he get hurt?
Well, yeah, he hit the ground hard.
He took a horrible hit. His head hit the ground and bounced up.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he had a horrible concussion. I'm sure Free will be the quarterback against Lott Monroe on Thursday night. I don't think there's any way Watson.
I don't either. And of course, Troy had the ball after a goal line stand. Man, what a goal line stand it was, and took over at the 1-foot line, and Watson was hit, and his head hit the ground real hard. It wasn't a penalty wise, then they brought in Free.
Troy's defense did all they could to win the game. I mean, they were on the field the whole second half.
And let me tell you this, we've got an All-American, if there's ever been an All-American. I'm talking about first-team All-American. I think Marshall probably, the young linebacker, number 2,
Had 21
He had
tackles.
21 individual tackles.
Amazing.
Wow.
And an interception to take the lead. You know, I mean, when he gets up to that ball,
You know,
drive.
Coastal Carolina, that time of possession, they did the same thing against Brigham Young.
They run that option, and they read that option. I mean, you could tell they ran it a little bit different than most people, but it was always the chance he was going to leave it in there.
What was the atmosphere like in the stadium? And was Coastal Carolina just thankful that they got out of there with a win?
Oh, I would think so. And it wasn't a big crowd there, but it was.
I mean, Coastal Carolina ought to be ashamed of themselves. They were flopping throughout the whole second half. Anytime Troy had any momentum offensively,
I couldn't believe
they
it.
go back and read it. The guys would literally just be running down the field and just fall down.
I've never seen so many injuries.
It happened about 5 or 6 times.
Yeah,
It was really
and
bad.
just on that, but I bet they had players go down 10 times or more. It was unreal how they did that, and I don't know.
I mean, they need to. I mean, definitely review that in the Sun Belt, and there's got to be some kind of penalty eventually. You've seen that before over the years against spread teams.
To slow it down, what would it? And every time there'd be a huge boo, man. I mean, the crowds would boo, but it went on, especially in the second half.
Well, I'm pulling for Louisiana.
It's just like a timeout.
Yeah.
It's just like a timeout every single time you do that.
Exactly. And shame on you, young coach. And of course, he's probably going to get a job somewhere. And, we've already reported that Malzahn, the head football coach at Auburn, has been dismissed and asked to leave. And, son, pick up your $21 million at the desk on your way out.
I think I could live.
Whoa.
I could live on $22 million for 2
The
decades.
heck with football. I can walk. I'm sure there's not a sideline in the nation I can't go if I want to and stand there and get all the football I want, and then go home to my swimming pool or.
Well, you know who did it right is Coach Chiswick.
Fly home in my jet.
He's still being paid by Auburn probably, and he's got a good gig on the SEC network.
I tell you what, if you watch him, I like him.
He's good,
I
very
like
good.
him. He's real good at what but he was a good football coach too. Well, he won a national championship.
He's a good defense coach.
You can talk about.
He made a deal with the devil. He made a deal with Cam Newton and got him a national championship.
Well, who's going to fill those shoes? Is it going to be Freeze, Cristobal, Napier, Bill Clark? There were some of the names
Bill
flying
Clark,
around.
wouldn't that be something if they hired a local guy, Bill Clark?
Well, the one that gets my attention is Sarkisian.
Speaking of shoes, LSU won against Florida.
Well, I told y'all, didn't I? I told y'all that this LSU team wasn't that bad. Did y'all hear me say that?
Mm-hmm.
Because against Alabama, they've got guys that can play. They're too so young,
Dad, I was talking about the shoe, though. The reason they won the game is because the guy threw the shoe 20 yards.
I know, amazing.
Oh, what happened now?
Oh my God, that's
No, I didn't say that.
Yeah.
Now tell me what happened.
They got a personal foul. They had stopped LSU. They were going to get the ball back, probably kick a field goal and win the game. And they're playing in the fog. And this crazy defensive back from Florida, I guess, took off the shoe of the LSU wide receiver he tackled. When he gets up, he throws it 20 yards down the field. The next thing you know, there's 3 or 4 flags thrown on the ground, and they get a 15-yard personal foul. And then the LSU guy kicks a 57-yard field goal
to win the game.
in the fog to take the lead, and then Florida misses the field goal at the buzzer.
So LSU would have had to punt right there. So instead they go down and kick the winning field goal.
Yeah.
Now,
It was tied
I'm
up.
looking at Sunday's paper, so I don't have the actual. How does that make? How does that?
They could show him throwing the shoe today on Troy Cable. That'd be great.
Oh yeah, that would be something. Tell me about how that sets up though right now.
Well, it was the Alabama-Florida SEC championship game was going to go down as one of the biggest in the history of that game, and so it takes out a lot of the significance of that game.
It's tainted.
I could see a scenario where Alabama would get beat in a close game by Florida, and of course I'm a biased Alabama fan. I just wanted Alabama to make the playoffs. And now, if Alabama loses to Florida, they might not make the playoffs. There's probably some scenarios that could happen, so it probably hurts. Alabama fans probably should have been pulling for Florida right there.
Yeah, but you had the SEC. You had the win over A&M. So A&M's like herself Alabama. Alabama beat A&M 52-20. Alabama's in regardless.
I hope you're right.
They'll represent the SEC regardless.
I hope you're right.
And I I tell you what, the Alabama team that I've seen quote by several well-known people that this might be the best Alabama team they've ever put on the field.
Man, they
because
are.
their defense is really coming around. Huh?
No way on defense with the best.
Well, what I'm saying though, they've come a long ways, Mike. They really have. I mean, 3 points against Arkansas. You would have said, well, they are high scoring.
I think their offensive line is as good as anybody.
Linebacker Christian Harris, he doesn't play against Florida. He was the guy that's probably going to be covering Pitt. They're in big time trouble.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, so Alabama's in big time trouble. The young man from.
If Harris doesn't play a linebacker, Pitt is the best tight end in the country. I mean, it's going to be very, very tough to stop him.
Well,
rush more than 3.
Yeah, exactly.
And Florida.
Well, I will say the Alabama's defensive line has gotten better. Those young kids have come along, and some of the linebackers are coming in. The defensive backs, the defense was awful against Ole Miss. Of course, Ole Miss had something to do with that, but they've improved. I mean, you're not going to confuse this Alabama defense with some of the great defenses they've had in the past, but at least they're showing improvement. But the offense, you're right, Michael. I mean, gosh, just think if they had Waddle. If Waddle hadn't got hurt, this might be one of the most prolific offenses in the history of the game of football.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's not over yet. Troy is back on the field this Thursday night from Veterans Memorial Stadium. It's Troy and Louisiana Monroe. And, Louisiana Monroe doesn't have a great record, but I'll tell you this. Anybody that has watched Troy football over the years, Monroe always plays Troy tough, I'm telling you. And even though they're playing in Troy, and Monroe is kindly, they could have bowed out if they wanted to. Somebody wants them to play another game.
Really?
And that's what's happening. And I don't know.
Troy's got to find a way to turn this program around. I mean, you're looking at 5-7 last year. They're 5-6 this year. I mean, there's no moral victories at Troy anymore. You can't just say, oh, well, we played the number 13 team. I think Coast Carolina's now in the top 10, down to the wire and could have won the game. I mean, having all these guys to beat LSU, and there's several of them still on the team. I mean, how do they just, forget how to win?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not good what's going on up there. I mean, I don't know what's happening.
There's some real incentives coming up this weekend. Of course, if Troy does play Monroe, they're scheduled to play on Thursday night, and they win the game, they would have won 6 games. The record would have gone 6-6, and they would. There's no bowl tie-ins left though for them now. Well,
they had to go 5-3 to have the 5 bowl tie-ins.
Well, let me tell you what's happening. A lot of the bowls are bowing out.
Well, the teams are not playing in the bowl games. A lot of teams.
Yeah. I know a lot of teams are not playing. That's right. A lot of teams are not playing in the bowl game.
Let me ask you, if you're a player, would you want to practice for a week or 2 more and go to a bowl game where you're really not going to, what's in it for you going to the bowl game? There's no activities, no dinners or parties or going out to bars.
They don't want you going anywhere. You're right.
I mean, the players, if I'm a player, I'm saying we ain't going to I'll tell you a story. I've told this story on here before. When Dad was a sophomore at Alabama had been down with Ears Whitworth, and Coach Bryant did pretty good his Dad's freshman year where Dad didn't play. Then their sophomore year, they had a 8-1-2 team, and darn if Alabama doesn't get invited to the very first Liberty Bowl, which was back then in Philadelphia. It's a big deal. They didn't have 100 bowl games like they do now. They only had about 8. So, and Coach Bryant wants to get Alabama's tradition going again. Let's go to the bowl game. It'll be great. Well, he says, guys, we got this invitation to the Liberty Bowl. Let's go. But he lets the players vote. The players vote. What do you think they vote? No, we ain't going to this. It's going to be cold. You've been killing us in football practice for months. We're tired of it. We ain't going to the Liberty Bowl. So Dad says, Coach Bryant says, hold on. He goes, calls the president of the university, comes back, and basically bribes the team. He says, if y'all vote to go in this bowl game, after the bowl game, I'm taking y'all first class to New York City, let you see New York City, and I won't kill you in practice. We'll have easy practices.
Wow.
Oh gosh.
So the team revotes, and they vote to the Liberty
boy.
Bowl. And Coach Bryant was true to his word. He took them to New York City and
Wow.
didn't kill them in practice. But the point of that story is that the players, they wanted to stay home and not practice any more football.
Well, right now, Stanford, Boston College, Pittsburgh, and Virginia will not go to a bowl. They've elected either between the presidents, the ADs, the football coaches, the players. They're not going. Those are 4 pretty good sized
Well,
schools.
and of course,
Yeah, so far in the Sun Belt, you got Georgia State playing in the Mobile Bowl. That's Georgia State. They'll take that bowl game. And then in the Myrtle Beach Bowl, Johnny Williams will be happy about this. He's got Appalachian State playing. So that's 2 Sun Belt teams that are going to bowls right there.
then of course you got the winner of this week. Well, both these teams this week that play for the Sun Belt Conference Championship, Louisiana and Coastal Carolina will go to some bowl game. When you think either one of them would?
They would go to the New Orleans Bowl. The winner usually goes to the New Orleans Bowl. But you're really hoping that somehow Cincinnati loses, and then you would have an open bowl spot, because basically Coastal Carolina would play a New Year's Day bowl game, and then that would open up another spot for possibly Troy.
That would be great, and of course the new bowl in Montgomery is on Christmas Day. It's called the Montgomery Bowl, and that game's going to be at 6 o'clock. I want to say it's 6 o'clock on Christmas Day, which would be very good exposure for the program. But you got to get in there,
The Camellia Bowl I've got listed starting at 2:30 by a report that I printed off.
What day is that?
On Christmas Day.
Only ESPN, only bowl
All right,
game
now,
on there.
I could be
At
wrong.
2:30.
Then. I'm sorry.
Montgomery Bowl's the 23rd, Camellia Bowl's the 25th.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I got them mixed up.
Yeah, and that's at 7 o'clock, the 23rd, and that's Memphis versus FAU's what I've got that
Oh
was
boy,
reported.
now I hope they don't bring
Well,
FAU
see, I didn't.
up here.
How did I
bowl.
miss this? Montgomery suddenly got 2 bowl games?
Yeah.
The Montgomery Bowl and the Camellia Bowl?
Well, I tell you what, I don't think Florida Atlantic is going to bring anybody to a game. I could understand Memphis now. Memphis, I could see them bringing a good crowd, but
I don't think anybody's going to bring a crowd. One, the CDC and Fauci and everybody is saying don't travel, stay home.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to feel guilty for traveling. Just all the factors. I'm surprised. I'll be surprised if there's any bowl games that get played, but I guess they are going.
right.
The first one's supposed to be this
I thought
Saturday.
we're all about to get the vaccine. I thought that this was all about to come to an end.
Yeah, the problem is, the thing is about the vaccine that I got an expert sitting next to me and one on the phone. Both of them experts in their own mind.
That's true.
But ladies and gentlemen, the key to it is, we got a vaccine, but who's going to be the first one to get it, and when will it? How long will it take for you to get that?
How
shot?
long will it take for enough people in the country to get it? Let's just assume it works. I'm going to assume that it works. And then, but you got to have 60 or 70% of the people get it, and that's going to take June, July, August before you have that many people that have taken it. So you got a lot of months out there, but without herd immunity kicking in.
Yeah. And do you think?
I mean, Forrest Lee's on the set. He actually had the coronavirus. We know for sure. How long do they say you're immune, Forrest?
I have never been told that information. I've not been.
Well, I'll tell you what I've learned is that
Is it 8
we
months?
spent a lot of times, Michael, talking about antibodies, but now they say that T cells are what provides the best immunity. It's not the antibodies proper. The antibodies fade after 2 or 3 months in most people, but the T cells work, and they think that most people that have had it are immune for at least 8 months, maybe much longer, like maybe years. Everybody I know that's had it has not got it again, and we know people that have had it, in April. So that's good news. I mean, Forrest, you've had it, and you probably got at least 8 months that you're not going to get it again.
Yeah, no question.
I think I had it in late January. I haven't had it again. There's a lot of
But
people.
nobody told you you'd had it though, really.
But I've taken some tests,
Yeah.
and I've taken an antibody test, and I've taken PCR test, and negative. And so if I did have it in late January, if that theory is true, that I'm immune for 8 months or a year, that might explain why I never got it again.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, it's the time to be careful.
Y'all got over the top candidates for replace Gus Malzahn yet?
Yeah, I like to hear it. And another thing, I'm still. Am I wrong to if I was an Auburn supporter, and I don't want to hear that cough over there.
That's coffee. I always do it.
Well, he's immune. We just decided that
exactly,
our force is immune.
Yeah. But if I was Auburn people, and I'm a guy, and I give a couple of $1,000s a year. I'm just saying, an ordinary guy, at Auburn, $2,000 to $5,000 a year is nothing, for a regular guy. But that regular guy should have a say-so over what you do with your program. Look, you would think, wouldn't you? That the athletic program doesn't make all the decisions. That like if they're gonna fire a guy, or let's just say if you're Auburn alumnus and they're gonna fire a guy and pay him $21 million, boy, I can see that $21 million being spent for something else other than football.
I bet Michael and Forrest know this. Isn't the early signing day this week?
Yeah, the end of the week.
Sure is.
And they have
And
12
most players
recruits.
Maybe that
now
happens.
They've got
sign-
12 recruits.
But who's going to sign at Auburn right now, not knowing who the head coach is going to be?
And
I think they got to wait 5 days before they name one.
Number 50th last time we talked about it.
Number 50 of it. Auburn, but that might have done it right there for Auburn to be ranked 50th in the country in recruiting. I mean, last year they were, 11, 8, something like 8 last year?
Top 10.
Top 10. So, Mike, why isn't Auburn recruiting anybody?
Well, Rodney Gardner's still in that staff.
Yeah, and did a great job. I heard him. I heard him being interviewed at the ball game. He represents Auburn pretty well.
Excuse me.
And we know Al Poe's on that staff. He's coach of Troy. He's got a great personality. He's a good recruiter. I mean, they've got some really good recruiters. I mean, interesting. Do you think Auburn already had a hand-picked guy? You think they're going to make an announcement soon, or is this going to be a national search?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Alabama just got a commitment from the number 1 college quarterback in the country. Did y'all see that?
No.
Yeah. They and he's committed. In fact, he decommitted from LSU and now he's coming back to Auburn. I mean to Troy. I mean, again, Alabama. And so
He's going to Alabama when Alabama has Bryce Young for 2 or 3 more years.
I think they must be. I think Bryce Young will be out of there. He'll be heading somewhere else. I think. I just think if
here's the potential candidates for the Auburn job. Mario Cristobal. He's the only guy that could go into the SEC and beat up Ed Orgeron. He'd probably be the top.
Yeah. In a street fight, he's the only one that can stand up to Orgeron. Yeah.
Of course, he used to coach against Troy when he was at Florida International. He's now the head coach at Oregon.
Yeah.
Hugh Freeze has beaten Alabama twice. He's the head coach of Liberty. He unfortunately has a lot of baggage. Put Ole Miss on probation. Likes to call escorts in a spare time.
Mike, are you serious about that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I hope you're not being quoted on that.
That's the reason he lost his job.
Yeah. Well, let's just say he lost his job.
It's officially documented.
It is. What would they?
Kiffin at Ole Miss. What would you think of Lane Kiffin?
Lane Kiffin, boy, Auburn. Hey, he'd be perfect. Auburn people would jump all over him. You know why? Because he's pretty. He's pretty.
Billy Napier, the great coach of Louisiana Lafayette. What would you think of Napier?
He's a good one, but he still doesn't have that name. Hey, Kiffin's got that name. He's got that
Swag.
sway. Yeah, you're right.
Buy you some extra clipboards.
He used to be the head coach at Washington, head coach at USC. He is Alabama's offensive coordinator. He's the hottest coaching commodity out there. Steve Sarkisian at Auburn. What do you think of that?
Well, he's got baggage. Good football coach, but he's got baggage.
And then other names mentioned, of course, I don't know if Auburn could get this guy, but he's a really good coach. James Franklin would he leave Penn State to come back to the SEC and coach at Auburn?
I think he'd jump all over it.
Mm-hmm. He
so?
thinks he's got tough competition now. Wait until he comes back and comes to the SEC West.
Yeah.
And they talked about giving Steele the job. Steele's 62 years old, and his only head coaching experience was at Baylor, where he was 9-31.
Yeah, you're right. He's not a head coach, but
I mean,
all right, let's go down there.
I don't think Tiffin's going to go that quick from Ole Miss, do a Tuberville and go from Ole Miss to Auburn. So let's do process of elimination. I think Sarkisian can get any job he wants, and he doesn't want to compete against Saban for a couple of years. Napier at Louisiana's and Bill Clark, but I think Auburn will think Bill Clark's not good enough, and
was he mentioned on this? Bill Clark?
I think Bill Clark is good enough.
He was not mentioned.
Well, I tell you, he's a good football coach, and would recruit well in state. I think. You know, the best linebacker in the country, they say, is at Prattville, and of course he's got real good ties there. You know.
Well, he took a program that had been discontinued for 2 years, and then he just won big immediately when he came back. I mean, if that doesn't tell you something.
Let me tell you what I could see. I could see Freeze going to Ole Miss and Kippen going to Auburn. Auburn would love to have Kippen. I mean,
Freeze won't go back to Ole Miss.
He's a guy that you'll like him in a lot of different areas. You know.
Ole Miss is not taking back a coach to put him on probation. He called escorts.
Oh, really? Who had done that?
Yeah. Hugh Freeze.
Oh, okay, yeah.
What happened was they were trying to throw Houston Nutt under the bus for all those probation.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And he filed a defamation suit. And then when they got access to
Nutt did?
Yes, and when he got access to all the records, and they're the ones that uncovered the escort phone number.
Yeah.
And then the coach, Freeze, said that was a one-time mistake call. Well, the university investigated his entire time there, that number was used, and he had been doing it for a long time.
Freeze had used it.
And it was all because of trying to throw Houston Nutt under the bus about all those probation.
It was on a university phone.
Yeah,
Yes.
Houston Nutt was at Arkansas at the time, wasn't he?
And that's the rest of the story.
Yeah, no question. Napier is a good football coach. I don't know if his name recognition helps him a lot. Mario Christopher, he's finding out that football's not quite as important out west as it is over.
I'm thinking about who is following Saban. If Saban says, I want to retire and ride off into the sunset, and I like Mario Cristobal. I think he might be a good one, and I like Sarkisian if he's, like Mike says, if he's got his demons beat.
Cristobal is a hard-nosed guy. Look at what he's done at Oregon, and
he's well-spoken. He's a good recruiter.
Played at Miami, I believe.
Yeah, and
sure did.
I'll tell you what, man, I'd go get that coach at Boise. I'd go get Hartson. I think Hartson's a really good coach.
And
Auburn fans would like it, but I think he's a really good football coach.
And I believe I read an article on him last week.
He is a good one, yeah.
He wants to get out of that conference. He wants that school to get out of that conference.
Well, Alabama's lost one of their coaches. Mike, tell us about that.
Yeah, Butch Jones is taking the head coaching job at Arkansas State. He was a special assistant to Coach Saban, so he actually coached nothing on the field. So he will be gone, and he's taking an analyst that we all know, Major Applewhite, to be his offensive
Major Applewhite. Do you mean the former Texas quarterback? He's been everywhere.
Twice at Alabama.
Yeah, he's Alabama's offensive coordinator at one time.
But he's got a great name, Major Applewhite. He was named after Major Ogilvy. He was named after the great Alabama running back, Major Ogilvy. You heard of Johnny Musso? How about Major Ogilvy?
Major could play.
You remember that national championship in the Sugar Bowl? They beat Arkansas 24-9, I think.
Yeah.
And I think he ran it 30 times in that ball game.
Who was the coach for Arkansas then?
The old man wanted
Lou Holtz.
Lou Holtz, yeah.
He did great. He did a very good job at Arkansas. People forget that.
Oh yeah, he's a great coach.
He just won the Medal of Freedom.
Yeah.
He was awarded the
And
Medal
I
of Freedom.
call him Grant. Listen, on this show though, he's considered Granny from the Greg.
We talk about Vegas a lot on this show, and Vegas has released the betting odds for next week. Texas A&M at Tennessee at noon. A&M's a 14-point favorite in Knoxville. Vanderbilt travels to Georgia. Georgia looked really good against Missouri. Georgia's a 40-point favorite against Vanderbilt.
All right, let me ask you this before you get any further.
She kicked 2.
Is the A&M game played in Tennessee?
Yes, at Tennessee.
I think Tennessee's got a shot, and everybody in the country needs for A&M to get beat.
That would help Alabama, give them an insurance policy. But
right
who I'm
now-
worried about is I think Cincinnati is the media darling to let a non-Power 5 team in. So.
And I would say right now,
Missouri at Mississippi State. Missouri's a 2-point favorite. Ole Miss, probably the game of the day. Ole Miss at LSU. LSU's a 4-point favorite. That's going to be a very interesting game there. And then Alabama against Florida at 7 o'clock. Alabama's a 16-point favorite against Florida.
oh gosh,
Too many points.
man, isn't that unreal? I just go. What I'm saying, they just go show you that what people think of the quality of players, teams that Alabama plays.
Over under 74.
74. That is a huge over/under. I'd jump all over that, I think.
Florida has some horses on offense. I don't know about them on defense, but they got big-time players on offense.
You know, Mike, before we get off,
They
of
had
this,
620 yards against LSU in that loss. Just as many yards as Alabama did.
and of course, the reason I say that,
2 interceptions. I think he lost the Heisman to Mac Jones, or maybe Devontae Smith might win the Heisman now, but I think Trask
oh, that hurt him.
game really hurt him.
Yeah.
He wasn't a Heisman guy anyway, I didn't think.
Oh, he put up huge numbers, Doug.
Well,
he had almost 10 more touchdown passes.
He's got to have more of a sway about him. I don't know. It just I just couldn't see it.
And it's amazing to say this. Trevor Lawrence is just like Tua in his career. He's never going to win a Heisman. And you look at him, and I still think he's probably the best quarterback there's been over the last 4 years, in my opinion.
Mike, you know, if he throws 4 touchdown passes,
Burrow was better last year, but Trevor Lawrence is like one of those great guys that he'll go down to not win a Heisman like Tua.
the only thing I got against him is his hairdo. But I mean, oh boy, now some people have long hair, at least have a little curl to it, but his is straight as it looks like a little spaniel. Looks like a cocker spaniel.
What time
I like
do they
old
play?
Trevor, though.
Oh, I like him as a player, and I think if he throws 4 touchdown passes, he's a shoe-in against Notre Dame. He's a shoe-in.
I think Clemson's gonna put it on Notre Dame.
Well, we're gonna find out.
Yeah.
And the thing is,
Pro football yesterday. I watched Tua come back and almost beat the Chiefs. He played really well, threw for over 300 yards. And then after that, I watched Jalen Hurts make his first NFL start. He rushes for 110 yards, throws for about 170, and they beat the Saints.
yeah,
I watched them too.
That was something to watch yesterday in the NFL.
Tua's got some of his key receivers and running backs out hurt, so he doesn't have any weapons around him. He still threw for 300 yards. And I swear, Miami's receivers dropped about four or five passes, or they didn't drop them. They were catchable balls. They could have helped out Tua.
let me tell you something about. I know we're jumping back and forth, but let me tell you something about Clark, the head coach at UAB. His team had to wait 40 days before they played a football game.
Amazing.
And he goes to Rice
And he wins.
and wins the ball game, and now will be playing for the championship of the Conference USA. Now, if that's not a pretty good football player that can control his players for that period of time, and I mean, what are they going to do in downtown Birmingham? I mean, the only thing they could do would be bad. So, but he kept his team in condition to play a football game, and they went to Rice and won the game.
It's dumbfounding to me that he is not a big candidate for all of these jobs, because his record has been fantastic. And what he's had to overcome is so much harder than everybody else. But for some reason, he's not on the radar.
They play Marshall Friday night, I believe.
Yeah.
UAB.
Mike,
at
let's
Marshall.
get.
How would Auburn fans look at that, though? Would they be, happy or excited about Clark? Is he an exciting hire? I don't know.
Well, he wouldn't have the you know, he wouldn't get the buzz because nobody in the country's heard of him. But I think the smart football people would say, hey, Auburn did a good thing here.
Let me ask you something, Mike. And this is just hearsay, and not even hearsay. This is just hypothetical. If Malzahn was out there and Troy needed a coach, would you want Troy to hire Malzahn?
Yeah, I think Malzahn's a guy that can win.
I would hire Malzahn in a second.
I would too.
He already did at Arkansas State.
I mean, I think he can win.
I think if he went back to his roots and got him a real running quarterback, he'd just watch out, buddy.
But let me tell you this, you know, I'm sure wherever he coaches, again, he won't even charge him a salary. I mean, the program's going to make money because, you know, he doesn't need the money.
He's still going to be paid by Auburn, yeah.
He'll probably go salary free.
I'd take Malzahn 100 times over than somebody like Will Muschamp.
Yeah, no question about it.
Yeah.
And exactly. And there are a lot of guys out there like that.
Well, if Gus wants a job, Gus is going to have no problem getting a head coach job. But if I was him, I would do like Urban Meyer and just take 2 or 3 years of sabbatical and chill out, right? But
you know, Texas has decided to keep Herman another year, so now the Urban Meyer stuff has gone away. You know, Auburn fans will be talking about Urban Meyer.
Now let me ask this now. Well, if Auburn's good at throwing out money, and Jimmy Rain's good about, I'm sure that's where a lot of this income's coming from. He's already been named the richest man in Alabama, Jimmy Rain from Abbeville, Alabama. But I could see him going after the vacuum cleaner salesman, Urban Meyer.
You got no in the pocket. Go ahead.
Huh?
Hey, do we want to take our first break today? I'm off Zoom if Steve wants to put me back on Zoom.
Okay, all right. We'll be right back with more of Today in L.A., brought to you by Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks on the bypass. Ladies and gentlemen, nobody can beat a Premier deal. Nobody.
Merry Christmas.
Well, Mike, your Cleveland Indians.
Merry Christmas from Wally Sanders Truck Line. Are you ready for these
Yes,
songs?
sir. Bring the toys to me. Merry
Let's have
Christmas.
fun. Merry Christmas. Let's have fun. Hurry, boys and girls. Hurry. It's what time of the year?
Christmas time.
And what do we say?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you from Wally Sanders Truck Line and Steven Sanders Trucking. Let's make this the biggest toy drive ever. Townsend's, Troy Cable, Trojan Detail. Those are your drop-off points.
Our history is woven with the stories of those we serve. At Max, we've been a good community partner for 65 years. Max is dedicated to providing dependable financial services and to supporting our communities. We volunteer our time and share our resources. As a credit union, we've returned millions of dollars back to our members, local nonprofits, and small businesses. Max is honored to be a part of your story. We look forward to serving you for years to come.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
He does great there.
Ladies and gentlemen,
He had Georgia beat the other night, too, and they came back and beat them by 4.
did they? Sanford University, we're talking about Sanford University in Birmingham. They bring their basketball team to Troy on Wednesday. Is that right, this Wednesday?
I believe so.
This Wednesday at Trojan Arena, they're coached by their new head football coach, Bucky McMillan. the young man that has taken the full court press all the way from Mountain Brook High School after several state championships, and now he's at the college level. And Mike, pressure all over the court when you see a Bucky McMillan team play.
Yeah, 40 minutes of Hell.
Hell.
Hades.
That's right.
And if I'm an Auburn guy waking up this morning, I'm looking at the paper, hell. Why did they ask me about that? Hey, listen, they're asking.
Troy beat a NAIA school yesterday, Central Baptist, 61-44.
Had trouble with them, you're right. They played real well in the first half, didn't play very well in the second half. Listen, somebody's got to teach people how to shoot free throws. Hey, listen, free throws wins games.
Especially with the referees calling fouls every play. It's like the NFL, college, there's a flag on every play, and basketball, there's a whistle on every possession.
But I guarantee you, if you can shoot free throws, you got a chance against everybody.
You know, my mantra is with referees is let them play.
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, you see my mask this morning. If you're doing anything outside the perimeters of your own home, you need a mask on today. You need a mask when you go to the courthouse, to the mask when you go to the bank, mask when you go to the post office, mask when you go to the drugstore, the grocery store. If you're doing business outside the perimeters of your own home, please wear a mask, because it's not just going to save your life, but you can save somebody else's life.
You think when this is all over, we're going to have like a mass burning party? Everybody's just going to
I would love to do it. I would love to do it. Yeah.
I've heard that they've become a big litter item, and finding them in the waterways.
Yeah. Dolly,
you find them all over the place.
Dolly, listen, I've been trying. They've been asking me to raise some money for the science department, and then over the veterinary medicine wants me to give them some money and everything. And I see here where they're going to give this guy Malzahn, this country football coach, they're going to give him. You know, they don't think he's done a good job, but they're going to reward him with $21 million. You think we could do something for the School of Veterinary Medicine with that kind of money? I wonder why don't they talk to us about that, us guys that give to other programs in the school, and maybe we could get some of that $21
I'll tell you what that would
million.
That would pay the coaching payroll for the track team, cross-country team, tennis team.
Forever.
For 5 years. I mean, one guy's thing.
Probably wouldn't even take.
You know, we didn't bring up the CEO of Apple, Tim Cook, might have bought Malzahn out.
Yeah. Is he from Auburn?
Yeah.
Drop.
The Harvards have a little money too.
Bucket drop.
Yeah, he could like Forrest said, he could spend $22 million.
The guy you were talking about?
It'd be like me spending $5. He wouldn't even know.
Well, that's right.
Tim Cook, he's from Mobile. He's an Auburn graduate.
All right. So I'm the Auburn fundraiser, and of course I raise money to help build an athletic program and everything. And I can pick up the phone and say, look, we got something we need to take care of. Can you handle it for us? So evidently that guy said, well, who do you want me to write the check out to? Make it out to, what's his first name? What's Malzahn's first name?
Gus
Augustus Malzahn is a rich man for life. I'm going to write him a check for $21 million.
21.7.
And to hell with the School of Forestry. And to hell with the
School of Pharmacy.
Veterinary Medicine or Pharmacy Department. Anyway, they're giving the Kentucky kids the first shot at a veterinary medicine shot. What I'm saying is there's a lot of areas of the school that would love to have some of that money. Maybe Malzahn might give them some of it.
Here's his name, Arthur Gustavo Malzahn III.
Oh gosh, ladies and gentlemen, hey, they need to check and see if he's got a heater. Look here.
Is he a made man?
Hey, look, somebody needs to check him out real good.
55 years old.
Somebody needs to check him out real good, see if he's carrying a heater with him.
Gustavo.
Lane and Long Wise gave $2.8 million to buy him out.
Yes, sir. If I was the Wise boys, who I love, they're two of my best friends, they're huge Auburn fans. That they've got to be a little bit disappointed on what they asked me about that deal. You know.
He was 2-5 in bowl records, but
Yeah.
Well, what we all talked about it when he got this win over Alabama 2 years ago, and in that when he parlayed that into this huge contract, and everybody was saying, why are you giving him this huge guaranteed contract? Like, who else is going after him?
Yeah, no,
Who are you trying to keep him from going? I guess Arkansas was at the time.
Well,
that's why he is a rich man today. Is some Auburn people thought he was going to go back to Arkansas.
If you want to have somebody one day write a book about Auburn football, hire Clark. Clark is the man that you need to go get. Local guy who is an outstanding football coach. I mean, has proven himself as a head coach.
Yeah.
And at a good program.
Didn't he do it at Jack State too before that?
Well, yeah. But he has made the UAB program a very solid program, and you know what? He would take his staff with him. He'd take his offensive coordinator, whose name is Bryant Vincent, one of the bright young coaches in America, the offensive coordinator at UAB. Bryant Vincent put his offense in at Charles Henderson High School, the same offense that most everybody is running now. 15 years ago, Bryant Vincent brought it to Charles Henderson High School.
a little bit of that history, I read it this morning. You know, Kane Womack's the new head coach at the University of South Alabama. Well, he had coached there at one time with Joey Jones.
Joey Jones, yes,
and
sir.
the offense coordinator was Bryant Vincent. Well, after about when they were 1-3, Vincent resigned because he and Coach Jones met. And Vincent resigned after a 1-3 start, the 17 year, I believe. That's what I read this morning. But you know,
Mike Amos knows Joey Jones well, and you know he thinks the world of him as a person. You know, really likes him.
I think Auburn's going to get somebody big.
Broke when he was the head coach, and I loved Joey Jones.
But you Auburn folks, Clark is the way to go. Clark will be. He's a Pat Dye type guy. He's going to be a Pat Dye type coach. If you like that, you've got a good one here. He can recruit. People love him. I mean, he's got so many people that go back all the way to his days at coaching high school ball at Prattville. You know, he built that dynasty at Prattville. You remember that?
Yeah.
And won all those games. This guy can coach football.
How about the South Alabama coach, Kane Womack, 33 years old. He's got to be the
33.
youngest head coach in Division I.
Oh, boy. And still, I don't think he's got enough name recognition. For that area down there, they needed somebody that had some more name recognition because they are in the finest recruiting area in the country at South Alabama.
Well, Troy has to pay close attention to South Alabama and UAB because that is who we're really recruiting against and competing
no
against.
Question about it. And let's talk a little bit about our linebacker.
The big question is Tennessee going to come open too? You could have the Tennessee job open as well.
Could be.
Yeah.
So, what
Rocky Top, you'll always be.
Would you rather be
home sweet home to me?
Go against Kirby and Dan Mullen, or would you rather be in the West and go against, you know, Saban, Orgeron, Jimbo Fisher? You know, what side of the SEC would you want to be on as a coach?
Yeah, I know it. You're right.
Go east, young man.
I would be on. Yeah, go east, young man. Like
Don't go west.
Run,
go east.
Forrest. Run, Forrest Lee. Of course, that Mike Amos on Zoom this morning, speaking from his home. You got 5 up, Mike. I got you. You got an eggnog, Mike, for Christmas. Hey, look, you gonna have an eggnog?
I don't know, man. I'm going to spend Christmas with you this weekend. We're doing it.
I know, but how many quarts of eggnog will it take to get you through the weekend?
I don't know, man. If you're buying Barbers, those little Barber eggnog's not too big. I probably need about 3 of them at least.
Yeah, exactly.
It's good.
And that Italian my sweetheart's Italian cream cake.
Miss Lee.
Miss Lee, yeah.
Quietly.
Watch out, Crow's Chicken. I'll be coming to Troy this
Watch out, Crow's Chicken, and you know they're alive and well on North 39th Street in Troy. no fanfare. They just have great food.
Breaking news, there
Yes,
is an
sir.
excavator lined up at the Old Crows on 231. They're fixing to tear that building down.
And what are they gonna build?
I heard a Church's Chicken. I heard
Oh,
Church's.
gosh.
That's what I heard.
Churches is going to replace
Church's
Crows.
Chicken's been here before. I was hoping they could put some big name restaurant in here.
I'm gonna just throw this out.
That's been confirmed by Blake Crow, C-R-O-W, Blake Crow.
What is confirmed?
Church's Chicken.
That Church's Chicken's coming to town.
That's all going to happen.
Well, that's a real nice piece,
I see
piece
that
of property, I'll tell you that.
the gas station next to McDonald's is almost open.
Yeah.
And I'll be glad when
We
that
needed
happens.
a gas station on that side of the road going north on
Of course, we
231.
got Jimmy Norman's on the north end, and you're
Jimmy
right.
Norman.
Boy, Jimmy, I went by Jimmy's this morning and
You
they're
get a pork chop where they cook
Well,
a
I
pork
didn't
chop.
pull in there, but they are covered up. So there's a lot of people that know all
They
about
open
that.
up at 5,
That's right.
and it's a line to get in there.
Good.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to be reverent, of course, to our Lord Jesus Christ, and it's also time to be concerned about people's welfare, to do the right things during this COVID-19.
Let me give you some good news on COVID.
Please.
I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. We've got all this second wave of people getting the virus. Well, that means a lot of people have already had the virus, because there are 15 million people in America that are confirmed to have had the virus, Mike. Well, the CDC and the experts say that for everybody that's had it, there's probably 3 to 20 that had it, just never got a positive test. So we're getting close to herd immunity right now without a vaccine. And then you've got a vaccine coming in a couple of months. And this thing is seasonal. It's obvious that this thing is just much worse in the fall and the flu months, right? So that we're going to go through those for another 2 or 3 months.
People going to say,
So
did
then
you get your shot?
you get to the warm months, April, May, June. You're going to have the seasonality go away. You're going to have the vaccine kicking in, and then you're going to have, as far as we know, there might be 50% of the country that's already had it by now. They're immune. So that tells me that by July, August, this is over.
Well, that would be great.
Is there any evidence, like if you have COVID right now and you're in the hospital and you're battling it, could they give the patient the vaccine, and would the vaccine cure the patient?
No,
Too late. Is it too late?
Too late.
You've got to take the vaccine before you get COVID.
See, that's what bothers me so much, is that a lot of people won't get the vaccine before they come down with a illness.
Well, they're giving it to the hospital workers first and the nursing home people, and then the older people. I mean, the highest risk groups are the ones that are going to get.
I'm old and decrepit.
I wanted to mention the great Charlie Fry just passed away of COVID.
You got
Kiss an Angel, good morning.
Kiss an angel, good morning.
Love her like
love
a
her like
devil.
a
86. He was
Love her like the devil till she gets back home.
Yeah, you know what? Love them like the devil till the devil gets home. Is that
until
right?
you get back. That's it.
Something like that.
Yeah. He was 86, but I saw him on a TV show about a month or so ago, and he got an award, a Lifetime Achievement Award, and he was
Look good.
Struggling then, walking and
tell, yeah.
talking, and
Yeah.
but do you relate that all to COVID?
Nah.
You know what?
I think it's a factor.
That's one of the
He was
dying
a baseball
with
player
COVID
too.
instead
He was a
of
pro
from-
baseball player
from
for several
COVID.
years.
Oh yeah, you're hearing about more and more entertainers that are dying, and for some reason you're seeing a lot of those folks, and I hate it. I really do.
Charlie Frank Pride.
Then of course
He was a great baseball player. Played for the Birmingham Blackberries.
Did he?
Mm-hmm.
I was
Said
trying
at
to-
one time he was traded for a bus. He and another player were traded for a bus.
Oh really?
That's in one of his autobiographies that he talked about. But
How about Derrick Henry yesterday, the former Alabama great, rushed for 215 yards.
Did he
against
really?
the Jaguars.
I hope they won. Did they win?
Derrick Henry has huge numbers in the NFL this year.
They
No,
did
if you
win,
can-
of course. They did win, didn't they?
Isn't he getting ready to lead the NFL from rushing for 3 years in a row? I think so.
He's
I think the last couple of years.
he's breaking records.
I think if you can be a top rusher in the NFL for about 5 years, man, that's Hall of Fame type of stuff, right?
Yeah, it
NFL Hall of Fame.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, they won big yesterday. They won by 20, I think.
I would say that Derrick Henry's a Hall of Fame candidate if he keeps it up. Julio Jones is going to be a Hall of Fame candidate.
First ballot Hall of Famer.
But he stayed hurt more than any
Lately,
football player
yeah.
I can ever remember.
His numbers are incredible, though. His numbers are right up there with Jerry Rice on pace at least right now.
I would say Sean Alexander ought to get a little mention for the Hall of
He's
Fame.
a great one.
He if he could have put it together 1 or 2 more years.
You know,
He got the big contract and made all that money, and then he just kind of
he's out. Yeah, exactly.
I just think there's too much too much thread lost on those tires. That when you're a running back, you hit the wall, buddy. You hit it.
And Malzahn, Gus,
10 minutes. You want to do a recap of college football, or you want to just wait and do that tomorrow?
Well, we've got a lot of conversation right here, and of course the big topic is what's happening at Auburn. I'm not being critical of Auburn itself, but again, that sure is a big move financially, and maybe $21 million is not a big amount of money to a lot of folks, and maybe this guy a multi-billionaire that y'all think might be giving them the money.
Well, they're going to hire somebody big that's got to match Bama and Jimbo Fisher. They're going to bring in somebody
That's the
big.
other side of it we haven't talked about. Is not only
That's
do you
more
got to
money.
you got to pay off
Those coaches.
but then you got to probably pay off or buy out the coach you're going to get.
Yeah.
He's got a contract that has to be.
Did y'all
bought
know
out.
this? Y'all fit to laugh at me. I think I'm right when I say this. Saban doesn't have a buyout clause. Is that true?
That's true.
Saban, hey, you can tell him to get on out of here. He's not going to cost you a dime.
Did you know Auburn's got a grad right now? He's a coach in Division I football. He's undefeated. He's going to play for his conference championship. Name that coach.
All right, he's in a 1AA guy. Or...
No, he's a Division I coach at a Power 5 school.
Oh, Southern Cal.
Yeah, Clay Helton is Southern Cal.
He's an Auburn graduate.
UCLA, yeah, he's an Auburn grad. UCLA was up 28-10 in that game. 28-10. And USC comes all the way back in the last seconds and wins that game. I tell you what, he's doing a good job coaching out there. I know he's been on the hot seat for years, but he's an outside name you might want to look at. His dad was the Love Doctor, Dad.
Yeah, the Love Doctor, you're right. In Houston, when he was at Houston for all those years, at night, he had call-in show called the Love Doctor.
Well,
how about this? I wanted to mention this before we got off the air today. Miami gave up 554 yards, rushing yards
Oh, my boy.
against North Carolina. They had one running back from North Carolina rush for 308, and another running back rush for 236.
Wow.
That is unbelievable.
It was a national record.
I've never heard of that.
Miami was 8-1 going into that game.
Yeah, and the coach supposed to be a defensive guru, isn't he? Wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, North Carolina won 62-26.
Yeah. All right, give us some other scores real
I
quick.
picked Miami. I'm lost on that one.
Well, I mean, that was just kind of one of those things where I was just trying to do a kind of recap of the weekend.
You know something that the reason I say that this Malzahn deal just had to come out of the woods on this because he was dancing with his team after the game. I don't think he had any knowledge at all that he was.
I watched that game, and I thought in the
He
second half, Auburn really just kind of put it together, looked good.
And old Bo, it's got that old hard-nosed way about him.
Yeah, the players are devastated. They're all over Twitter, all over Facebook, and there's at least 30 guys that can't believe it.
I mean,
then the people that truly love Auburn University should be upset that they give somebody $21 million.
Well, you think about it. They have a deflating loss to Alabama. They play Texas A&M hard. They had a chance to beat Texas A&M, so they didn't quit. Then they had really nothing to play for at Mississippi State, who's got a little momentum now, and then they go and they play hard at Mississippi State. All of this says that Malzahn is about as good a coach as you're going to get, to me.
They got a tailback that's probably going to be the best running back in the country next year.
And he was not 100% in some of those games they lost, so that hurt Auburn, not having that running back being healthy.
What, Mike?
I'm just saying, you look at the three of the four losses. Of course, South Carolina is unexplainable, but you lost to Alabama in Tuscaloosa, Georgia in Athens, and Texas A&M at home. I mean,
those are three pretty good teams. You're right.
Well, they were all in the top five.
Yeah, I know it. Now, who was the other one they lost? They lost 4.
A&M at home. They lost an unacceptable game at South Carolina. That's the game that really hurt him.
Yeah. And they've already hired a guy. Who did South Carolina get?
Shane Beamer.
Oh boy, yeah. Beamer Ball is still alive and well.
We'll just go through the top 25 real quick. You had LSU, huge upset after 37-34.
That saved the coach's job, don't you think?
Well, he just won a national championship. Georgia beat Missouri 49-14. North Carolina beat Miami, we just mentioned, 62-26. Troy had the lead with 1 minute and 20 seconds left. Coastal Carolina had no timeouts. They only needed 35.
They rushed 3 guys.
They beat Troy 42-38. Northwestern will play Ohio State in the Big Ten championship. They beat Illinois 28-10. Illinois fired their coach after the game. USC came back and beat UCLA 43-38. Iowa has won 5 or 6 in a row. They beat Wisconsin 28-7. BYU struggled against San Diego State. They won 28-14. Utah upset an undefeated Colorado team, blew them out 38-21, and then Oklahoma State blew out Baylor 42-3.
All right, well,
that's your top 25 games from last week.
That's good. Of course, our show is brought to you by Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks on the bypass. Nobody beats the Premier deal. And also Troy Bank and Trust Company. Remember, Troy Bank and Trust Company is the only bank you'll ever need.
Oh, 8:30, okay.
And we're going to stay on the air, is that right?
Yes, to 8:30.
Okay, we're going to stay on the air to 8:30.
Let's talk about Charlie Pride some more. What were Charlie Pride's hits? I mean, I've the one y'all have been singing, I know, but
everybody's going to San Antonio in Phoenix, Arizona. That's
one last statement about the Auburn deal before we get off of it. One last statement is, if they get Clark, they made a deal. They made a good deal. I think Clark is a real deal. I think he's a Pat Dye type coach. I think he knows how to relate to players. Anytime you get, like I said, 40 days before they played another ball game, they have been dormant for 40 days, and then they go out to Houston, Dallas, and beats Rice. That's in Houston, isn't it? Rice. And
that's right.
And beat Rice, and he's playing for the conference championship. This guy can coach. He can motivate players. He relates well to players and coaches. Clark, if you could get Clark,
they could get him.
Maybe the $21 million might be partially taken care of.
Well, of course, Bill Clark would take the Auburn job, so they can get him. It's just, do they want him?
I know exactly. They got to want him, but I would think he'd be the one.
We can get up with Chuck Dunn. Chuck Dunn was one of his former assistants for about 10 years. Let's see if Chuck will see if Clark will take the job.
There's a lot of Clark people out there.
And then I think that Hugh Freeze has too much baggage, so that leaves Clark. Cristobal, I just don't see him coming to Auburn.
Yeah.
I don't know, but y'all have said something very interesting. Did Auburn already have a done deal? I mean, doing this, it makes you think they did.
You're exactly right. And another thing about Clark is he's really developed a real good recruiting base in Birmingham, Alabama. I tell you, there's a lot of good players come out of Birmingham and Tuscaloosa and Huntsville and Montgomery. And the state of Alabama, he recruits very well with high school coaches. And, they do have a say.
It makes you wonder, with recruiting being so big and you've got to have a guy in there as soon as possible, what are they going to do? I mean, it makes you think somebody's going to be hired.
They need to give the recruiting guru $1.5 million and get him to stay, put together his recruiting deal.
Well, Mike, didn't I read part of that article at the University of South Alabama? They had to wait 5 days by state law to name. They got to have it open for 5 days.
Yeah.
And since this is a state job, I think it's got to be open for
yeah,
5
I'm sure it
days
does.
before you name your coach, which will
And I'm
probably
just throwing
be this
those out.
weekend.
Yeah.
Should be this weekend. But
And,
recruiting.
James Franklin has 2 different homes in the Destin, Sandestin area. I've heard that from real estate agents down here.
Well, anybody that did what he did at Vanderbilt ought to have some kind of bargaining too.
Yeah, he was one of the names mentioned for the Texas job.
Is there any chance that Tommy Tuberville could be a U.S. Senator and Auburn's coach again?
I don't know. He beat Alabama 6 times in a row. But you know what? They treated him like a yard dog. I was with him the day he gave a Auburn hat to a kid in a wheelchair, and he said, "This is the last hat I'll ever wear at Auburn." And they had already made the plane trip up to Louisville to talk to your guru, Mike.
Bobby Petrino.
Bobby Petrino, which
he's available. They can get Bobby Petrino.
They were trying to get him in, but they ended up keeping him at Auburn, and they beat Alabama 6 straight times.
You know, you got interesting transfer news. Florida State has gotten the former great Central Florida quarterback that almost lost his leg, Mackenzie Milton, who was at Central Florida and put up all those huge numbers, has now transferred to Florida State. So
that'll help him.
Florida State might have a good quarterback finally.
Sure.
Well, I hope he can come back like the Washington Redskins quarterback has come back. Mackenzie, this kid at Central Florida, he almost lost his leg. It was a terrible, terrible injury. But it looks like he's going to be able to come back, so that's great.
Yeah, no question about it. Now, the unreal thing about all of this is all the players you see can come back with another year of eligibility. And I think it's good. I think that a lot of the teams will probably not offer some of these players that were didn't show up that well and add some more to the list, but it could be a positive thing for the programs, don't you think?
Well, the top 5 in recruiting will always be the same. It's going to be Alabama, Ohio State, LSU's in there, Georgia's in there.
Whoever can recruit the great quarterbacks are the guys.
Brad Johnson's son, I think, has won the LSU quarterback job. I think he's
true freshman.
He's a better quarterback, smarter quarterback than T.J. Finley.
You reckon why it took him so long? Why it took him so long to figure that out? You reckon?
Well, Finley had some good games too.
Well, he did. The times I saw him, he's a great athlete. There's no question about it. He's physical and everything, but under pressure, he had some real problems.
Well, then the other quarterback that got hurt's coming back too. So LSU's going to have big time quarterback questions.
I don't know how good they are though.
And I think I'm going to say Bryce Young is going to be fine, Mike. I know Alabama just got him another quarterback, but I've seen enough of Bryce Young that I think next year when he has a spring training and a full camp in front of him, he's going to be really good.
I want to mention our good friends at Bird Drugs on the corner in downtown Troy, and of course, one of my very best friends owns that drugstore and does a great job. And Joe, good luck to you and some things that's going on with you, and we love you very much. Of course, want to mention all of our supporters and people that have supported this show for all these years. We appreciate it so very much, and hope you'll watch us again today. We still got 11 minutes. Of course, Wally Sanders Truck Lines show will be coming up very soon, and of course, great people at Wally Sanders Truck Lines in Troy, Alabama. They're giving an opportunity for hundreds and hundreds of employees to make a career in the trucking business, and we appreciate them being a big part of our show. And of course, the Troy Drive, where you can bring a toy to the Troy Cable office here, and bring it to the big trailer that we have parked right across the street on on South Brundage Street right here. Bring a toy and make a kid happy, and that's been sponsored not only by Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, but also Troy Cable.
Yes, sir. Mike, Kelly Sanders, and she has organized Turkeys from Heaven.
That's right.
And I think that's going to be December the 22nd. If you're interested in donating toward that cause, you can go to the Piggly Wigglies and pre-buy a turkey. And you can probably call Wiley Sanders and ask for Kelly Sanders and how to help out in that event, either preparing the meals and things of that nature, buying turkeys, cakes, things of that nature. But that's coming up the 22nd.
No question. Now, and of course, if you love the great opportunity to make a child happy, they're doing it at Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, and also Kelly with the turkey giveaway. They gave away several hundred last year, and look the same way this year.
Let me swing to baseball.
The only quarterback I'm seeing that Alabama's got committed so far, is a guy named Jalen Milroe out of Katy, Texas. He's a 4-star. I didn't think, but he's been committed for a long time. I'm trying to find out this other quarterback.
This is a decommitment. I saw it on TV last night. He's a decommitment from, I want to say, from LSU.
And I think he's going to Alabama now.
Yeah.
I'll look and see and find the name.
Mike, were you a Cleveland Indian fan growing up?
Well, no, my brother was.
Joel
starting lineups was, for the Cleveland Indians, you had Jim Hagan at the catcher. The third baseman was Al Rosen. The center fielder was, Al Smith was in left field. The first baseman was,
wasn't Bob Feller one of their pitchers?
Bobby Avila was the second baseman. And of course, Bob Lemon.
They're not going to be the Cleveland Indians anymore.
I know it. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Some of the names are
what are they going to call them now?
Well, possibly the Cleveland Spiders, the Cleveland Rockers, the Cleveland Crows, or the Cleveland Dobies.
Rocky Calavito was a great Cleveland
player. Dobies?
Yeah, after Larry Doby, the first.
Yeah, he was the center fielder on that team.
Well, he was first Afro-American to play for Cleveland.
Yeah, he was a great
Those
one.
are 4 names that I read that they may go with, but.
And then, of course, the great hitter that made Willie Mays famous on catching the long fly ball in the polo grounds, his name was Vic Wirtz. That did that, if that makes any difference for you.
The Braves will say the Braves in Atlanta, and then the Florida State Seminoles will say the Seminoles. I think maybe this is probably going to be it, I guess. Washington couldn't even come up with a nickname, so they became the Washington
football team.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, the Washington football team's in the contention for the playoffs.
Since they changed the name, they did pretty well.
The Washington football team has a lot of Alabama former football team members.
Well, in the Southeastern Conference Championship game this weekend, they're going to allow 16,500 fans. In the ACC Championship, about 7,000. Now, some things to think about. The New Orleans Saints, their organization in the city of New Orleans, they're going to drop their attendance down to 3,000 the next 2 home games for the Saints. And with the Sugar Bowl coming, is it going to be 3,000? Who knows? Now, the Rose Bowl has 0 fans.
Why are they even playing in the Rose Bowl with 0 fans instead of somewhere where you could have 20,000
They're doing away from the Tournament of Roses Parade, one of the most looked at television shows each year from California, and that's a magnificent event which has already been postponed.
Well, if Florida would have beaten LSU in a normal year, that Alabama-Florida SEC championship game would have been a hot ticket, buddy.
Tell me how this is going to work. Is A&M going to be the other team, or will it be
It'll be Southern Cal.
All right, now Alabama's still going to play Florida. Is that right for the championship?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the done deal.
At 7 o'clock this Saturday.
And if Alabama beats Florida, what happens?
Well, say Alabama. Here's what the chalk is, as they call it.
Alabama's the number 1 seed.
The chalk means if everything expected this happens. So Alabama wins. Clemson beats Notre Dame handily. Ohio State beats Northwestern. That's 3 teams in right
And
there.
Notre Dame goes in with one
So,
loss.
well, that leaves open the possibility of Notre Dame with 1 loss, Texas A&M, or probably Cincinnati. So I would say you're really down to 6 teams competing for that. 3 teams competing for that 4th spot.
What about Southern Cal?
Southern Cal's not going.
They didn't play enough
Southern
games.
Cal's like ranked 15th, so they're behind Coastal Carolina.
They've only played like 4 games, and they are undefeated, but they've barely won a lot of these games.
Hey, Mike, why didn't anybody?
The biggest issue is Dabo and the ACC, and then the SEC commissioner Greg Sankey have all come out and said that Ohio State, regardless if they win, with six wins, you know, it's not enough to make the playoffs. They're very upset that they would put them in ahead of a team that played 10 to 11 games. So there's already a big gripe about that. That's why I'm almost 100% sure Alabama's in, regardless if they beat Florida or not, because they would have the head-to-head win against A&M. I mean, Florida's not going to get in because they've got 2 losses now. Oklahoma's not going to get in. They're going to beat Iowa State. They've got 2 losses. Alabama's going to represent the SEC regardless.
Here's another wrench, or throw a shoe in it. What if Notre Dame beats Clemson?
That's right.
That's going to be some big openings.
Yeah, you know, Clemson's out of it if he does.
That means
A&M gets in probably.
A&M.
Or maybe Cincinnati. That's what a lot of people are pulling for then, right?
That's going to be a great game. What time is that game going to be on Saturday?
I think that's
Notre Dame game. That a night game, Notre Dame and Clemson?
I don't know.
I think it's at 3 o'clock.
Let me look and see.
I think it's 3
And the
o'clock.
college selection committee is going to be Sunday, December the 20th at noon Eastern time. So I guess that'll be 11 our time. The selection committee is this Sunday.
That's right. And we also have recruiting day on the 16th. Is that right?
Is it this Wednesday?
That's right.
Oh, boy. Man, a lot going on. No question about it. I hope that everybody's enjoying themselves out here. And, of course,
these games are going to both be on at the same time. This is awful. That looks like Notre Dame Clemson is going to be at 8, and Alabama and Florida are going to be at 7.
Really?
well, an hour difference, so that ought to work out.
I know, but I was hoping those games would be more spread out.
I know. That's not good.
I think
8 o'clock at night. That's really late.
Yeah, Northwestern and Ohio State. Is it at noon?
You know, it'll be 7 o'clock Eastern time.
I don't know. My scores and odds. It's not giving me updated schedules right now. We might have to talk about this tomorrow. I can't.
Yeah, we can do that. We can do that. And of course, we appreciate it.
Well, then we got Troy playing Thursday night. Let's Troy can at least avoid Troy can avoid a losing record, which.
If they play, you think La Monroe and these players, since their coach got fired and they hadn't won a game, have been not going out and partying and going to have fun and just being a kid again?
Do you think
how in the world are they not going to have several COVID cases?
Yeah.
Well, so, as I've said 100 times, it's not even the COVID cases; it's the contract tracing protocols.
I've got my fingers crossed that Monroe will play. Surely they were competitive, and I tell you what, why have a team that's not willing to compete? You know. And ladies and gentlemen, hope you've enjoyed our show today.
I would be very interested to see if this game still happens.
Yeah, and we're gonna end the show with this right here. The Auburn Tigers finished the regular season 6-4, now ready for a bowl game. Who will be the next Auburn coach? Huge question marks all the way across the board, Auburn looking for a new football coach. War Eagle, and good luck to you.
They will know Saturday.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa know-how. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa know-how team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the